Welcome back, everybody. Just going to grab the link for the next lesson, and we'll be moving on to the final course of today, Improve Data Quality by Handling Nulls and Missing Values. Just going to bring this up in here. So first of all, what are null values? And it can be a lot of different things. Basically, it's a representation of nothing. And we've found that there's about 15 different ways that your data can be nothing. It can be in a particular state that indicates nothing, an actual null value. It could have a value that's a stand-in for that null. This should actually be negative 9999. That is how it's represented in mapinfo tab files or mapinfo files going way back. Personally, terrible idea. I think that's a terrible idea, but that is how they represented nulls at the time. You can end up in a situation where the value is simply empty, and that could be considered something different from a null, or the attribute doesn't exist at all. You'll often see this attribute missing in file formats which are more sort of object-oriented. For example, the extended entity data attributes that we were looking at in the AutoCAD DWG files, those are all defined per feature. So when we scan through the entire schema, it's entirely possible that features in that data set simply don't even have a particular attribute even defined on that particular feature. So it's not just that the value is missing, the attribute definition itself is missing from that feature. It can have a not a number value. It could be something that's 0 or a raster cell set to no data. There's a lot of different options. So how does FME represent nothing or null? We have this null inside of the pointy brackets. So this null is how FME represents null. But you'll still see the other options. Here we can see a data set. This is a mapinfo tab file containing parks data. And we can see that we have reference park ID as negative 9999. That is the default way for a mapinfo file to indicate null. But we also have park name as an actual null. We have washrooms and special features, which are actually missing values, or the attribute itself may be missing. When you are inspecting your data, it's a good idea to keep an eye out for these null or missing or otherwise incomplete attribute values. Let me quickly demonstrate in Workbench how you can do that. I'll have to bring in a tab reader. Faster to type in mapinfo. So I'm going to open up that parks data set. Because I just wanted to demonstrate this bit of functionality when inspecting data. So if you have a tabular view of your data, I'm just going to close everything else here. We can see we have each column. Now, this doesn't necessarily work with the negative 9999, but if I sort If I sort a particular attribute, if there are null values, those will be sorted to the top, and it will always be the top. So if we go to park name here, and I'll sort this, I have missing. If I sort it the other way, the missings end up going down to the bottom there. But if I have nulls, and I believe with neighborhood name, with one of these I had actual nulls. Or I thought I did. I'll have to show that later on when we replace it. Let's see, park name. Do I have name? Oh, they're in there as missing instead of nulls. If you have actual null values, then the nulls will always be sorted to the very top. Missing is a little different, but if you have the nulls, when you do sort up and down, the nulls will always be at the top regardless of how it's being sorted. I was hoping to demonstrate that there. That didn't quite go as planned. Okay, so please review the What Are Null Values lesson. So that's 5 minutes, and then we'll take a short break. We will start up again at 12:10. Okay, so please review the lesson and then take a short break. We'll continue at 12:10.